Thank you very much indeed. Extremely kind of you. Totally unnecessary. All I did was walk from there to there. Welcome to the show, the new series, and to 1993, the new year. Wasn't a good year last year for a lot of people. Queen had a rough time. Has to pay her taxes. All that scandal about the family. She called it Annus Horribilis. Horrible year. I would have called it Annus Anus, an arsehole. Charles Haughey, the Prime Minister of Ireland, retired. Said he wanted to spend more time with his family. Bishop of Galway retired. He didn't want to spend any time with his family. The best moment for me in 1992 was George Bush on a visit to Japan. A great technicolored yawn he did under the table. Read my lips. 4 bodyguards jumped it and shot it. Boom, boom, boom. Kill the vomit. They actually say you can choke on your own vomit. Of course you can choke on your own vomit. You can't choke on somebody else's, can you? Wasn't a particularly good year for John Major either. He staggered. Who? What do you mean, who? He's the Prime Minister, for Christ's sake. Who? Staggered from one crisis to another. Mind you, I suppose he's okay. I look at John Major as a kind of Eddie the Eagle of politics. Has a great takeoff, but doesn't go anywhere. Mind you, he's born into a circus family. We're told that his father was a failed trapeze artist. What is a failed trapeze artist? I mean, you can fail at lots of things, but how can you be a failed trapeze artist? What did you do? I'm a failed trapeze artist. Where's the rest of you? In the bag over there. Came from nowhere. You remember, from nowhere. John Major didn't exist. First I knew of him was when he was Treasury Secretary to Lawson, who was a Chancellor. You remember Lawson? The man who did to the economy what the Pope has never done to anybody. The thing I find with John Major is the way he speaks. He has a kind of John Major speak. He uses words like whatsoever, and whensoever, and whosoever, and howsoever. Wench. Wench. What does wench mean? Nay. I've heard him say nay. Nobody says nay. I actually believe I'll hear him say one day, before I speak, I'd like to say a few words. He doubles and trebles of things. He says things like, I am absolutely convinced. You can't be absolutely convinced. If you're convinced, you're convinced. You can't be more convinced than convinced. Being absolutely convinced doesn't make you any more convinced. And not only is he absolutely convinced, he's convinced without any doubt. I'm absolutely convinced without a doubt. If you have a doubt, you wouldn't be convinced, for Christ's sake. And not only is he absolutely convinced without a doubt, he's absolutely convinced without a doubt whatsoever. Nay. Do you understand the logic of politicians? Can you understand it? A few years ago, we had a system called a council rates. And your property was judged on the rateable value, and that's what you paid. And then they decided, we don't like that. We'll bring in the poll tax. So they do away with the rates, and they bring in the poll tax. And then everybody screams, poll tax! So they do away with the poll tax, and they bring in the council tax. The council tax is a rateable value on your property. Exactly like the rates. And not only that, but during a period, they would give you a grant to improve your property. Tax-free grant to improve your property. So you take this tax-free grant and you improve your property. And then they bring in this tax, which is on the property, the quality of your property. If it's good, they charge you more. They've given you this bloody tax. Free, prove your property, you improve it, the bastards tax you more. And there are certain groups who don't come into this, what we would call the council tax. There are people who live in care. Churchmen, no churchmen pay council tax. Foreign diplomats don't pay. Prisoners in Her Majesty's prison do not pay council tax, unless they're in prison for not paying the council tax. If you don't pay your council tax, they send you to prison. And that costs the country at least £1,000 a week to keep a man in prison. For Christ's sake, why don't they give him the £1,000 and let him pay the bloody poll tax? You remember Black Wednesday? We paid these people. They lost 40 billion in the afternoon. 40 billion! This is not a few quid we're talking about. 40 billion in the afternoon. Black Wednesday, they call it. We've had Black Wednesday, we've had Black Friday, Black Tuesday, Black Monday. We've had a couple of shitty Tuesdays, I know that. Some turdy Thursdays as well. I think of John Major. I really think of John Major. Because he's got a grey image, hasn't it? It's grey, it's chalky, dusty. It's kind of bank managery, accountancy. But all I think he has to do, if he changes his name from John Major to Johnny Major. Johnny. Hey, Johnny. Johnny's kind of rakish, isn't it? And a rogue. Johnny. Hey, Johnny's the rogue. Hey, Johnny. But then, when I was a kid, Johnnies were condoms. So a Johnny Major would be a pack of 6, I suppose. Johnny Major. Give me a packet of Johnny Majors, please. It would be grey in colour. Have instructions on it. This way in. Little arrows, one up, one down. In, out, in, out, in, out. If you actually kind of look at the cabinet member, Lamont, that would be a good name for a condom, wouldn't it? I mean, that's kind of Lamont. It's a kind of sophisticated one, European. Lamont. Give me a Lamont. It's kind of lubricant, isn't it? Oily. You're wearing that Lamont again? Yeah. Inflates, deflates, and slumps. Heseltine. There's another one. A Hesse. Be a wild-looking one, wouldn't it? You'd have bits of things sticking out the top. Go off on a tangent. That's a real adult one, though. Hesse. Give me a Hesse. How old are you? What's that got to do with it? Well, I'm not allowed to sell it to minors. A Miller. That'll be a pack of 10. One for each toe. They're all at it, all this toe sucking. Madonna, Fergie. I mean, what an extraordinary thing, isn't it? With her accountant, her financial advisor, sitting there sucking her toes. What do you think it was, an abacus? I thought accountants were supposed to be intelligent. I mean, they're sitting there by a pool, she takes off her top, shows her breast, and he kisses her toes. I can't actually wait to get to my accountant in the new year. Just see myself sitting in there, plunking my feet on the table, take my shoes off. Don't just sit there, suck. With the event of the new year, my main resolution is that I am not going to be subjected to bores anymore. We subject ourselves to bores. Ever meet a bore? Bores are the most dreadful people in the world. They can destroy you. They can just bore you to death. And they always have boring subjects about traffic jams. And we all tolerate it. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. Bores come to you and they get you in a party or something like that. They move in on you. Have you seen? They just hone in on you. And they go, yes, well, boring. And we go, yes, yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Bore. And they get you into the corner. Bore. You should say, piss off, for Christ's sake. Piss off and bore some other bastard. Don't come near me. I'm sick and tired of it. And the worst thing you can do with a bore is actually, because sometimes you make the mistake of adding to the conversation. They're boring. And you suddenly hear yourself saying, oh, when was that? And you go, oh, shit. And I'm an ex-smoker. I don't like smokers. I'm an ex-smoker. I'm a real convert, nasty ex-smoker. I do not like smoke. New Year's Eve, there's a fella blowing smoke all over me. And I'm going, don't do that. I don't like it. He said, well, it's not the real nicotine. The nicotine's going into me. It's only the residue. And I said, well, I don't like it. He said, well, you drink? I said, yeah, but I don't piss on you when I'm finished. There are things in your life that annoy you, don't they? Horns in car. People who play bang their horns all the time. What is it with horns? You're in a car, any of us are in a car, and you hear a horn 300 yards away, and we assume it's for us. Beep! What? Oh. Beep, beep, you bastard, where are you? Beep, beep, where are you? I was driving about 2 weeks ago. I get in my car, and I'm driving. Beep. 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 This bastard behind me. So I go. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep. And now I'm going, piss off. Beep, beep, beep. So I think, I'll get away from this fella. I'll drive somewhere else. So I just go down and he follows me. Beep, 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 beep. So I stop and he stops and I get out of the car. And I go back. And what? I can't even speak. Oh, you are. And he says, here's your briefcase. Umbrellas, people with umbrellas. Don't you get angry about things like that? Don't you get angry about people with umbrellas walking around? I get livid. I save my eyes. I mean, those people going... Do you know what I'm going to do one day? I'm going to take the umbrella off them, I'm going to close it, then I'm going to stick it up their arse, and then I'm going to open it. And people who fart in lifts. What about those bastards? I was in America recently. I get into an elevator, and there's a fellow there, and he said, what floor's here? And I said, 7 or whatever it was. Press the button. And just as the doors are closing, he darts out. And I am now in a sealed metal box with his fart. We go up 2 floors, the doors open, 3 people get in, and they look at me. And I don't deny it. And mean, that's the extraordinary thing. I don't deny it. I don't say, hey, I didn't fart. It wasn't me. I didn't know it was a dirty bastard down below. He got out. Tell you what I hate too. I hate supermarkets. I don't like supermarkets. I don't like being conditioned. I go into a supermarket. I think I'm being conditioned. Do you ever watch mothers with children at the checkout? The one place, the checkout, is where all the sweets are. All the goodies, all glittering. And there's a queue, and the child has time to zone in on it. And you see mothers being morally blackmailed by this whole system. Mummy, what? No, darling, no, I told you yesterday. No, stop it. You're looking for a sore bottom. Is that an extraordinary expression? You're looking for a sore bottom. Where will I find it? You're asking for a slap. I didn't ask for it. Yes, you did. Love that when mothers, do you ever see mothers hitting children? Stop crying! Stop crying! I'll give you something to cry about. This is a madness. We have a madness in the world. We promote this madness. You ever watch yourself? One of the most important things we as parents do is we teach our children about time. We teach them important things like reading the clock. You actually think that's important? I'm going to teach you to read the clock. I'm going to teach you to read the time. Why? Because it's important that you know the time. Why? Because how would you know when to get up to go to school? Mummy would make me. What if Mummy wasn't there? You'd wake me. What if we both weren't there? Wouldn't go to school. How would you know when breakfast was? I'd be hungry. Shut up! Somebody came along to you and said, what time is it? And you didn't know, you'd feel stupid. Well, why doesn't he feel stupid? He doesn't know. Let me go through this whole thing. I'm going to teach you. I did it myself with my son. I'm going to teach you how to read the clock. This is a clock. It's not actually a clock. It is a clock, but it's not a clock. It's a watch. It's called a watch. It's a wristwatch because it's on my wrist. Yes, it's a wristwatch because it's on my wrist and I watch it. Yes, it's very good. Now, time is made up of zones, periods of time, all right? There's hours and minute. No, not hours. No, they're not hours. They're hours. They don't belong to us. It's a different spelling. H-O-U-R-S. Not Howards. It's silent. I don't know. Now, on every day, there are 24 hours. 24 of these hours. 12 in the day and 12 in the night. I know I said there are 24 hours in the day. 12 in the day, 12 in the night. But a day is made up of a day and a night. What are you, stupid? I couldn't very well say Monday night. Everybody knows when I say Monday, I'm talking about the 24 hours. Now shut up and listen. Now, on every clock or watch, there are 3 pointers. They're called hands, all right? They point to the hour, all right? You understand that? There's the hour hand. That's the first hand, the hour hand. The second hand is the minute hand, and the third hand is the second hand. We'll do away. Forget about the third hand. Forget it. It's gone, all right? It's gone. Now we have 2 hands. On the face of the clock, there are 2 hands, all right? There's the hour hand, which is the fat hand, and there's the thin hand, which is the minute hand. So you have a fat hand and a thin hand, all right? Fat hand, hours, thin hand minutes. Right. Now, up the top of the clock, you see the number up there, 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is 12. It's not 3. It would be 3 if you joined them together. We already have a 3 here on the side by itself. We don't need 2 bloody 3s on a clock. So it's 12. All right? 1 and 2 is 12. So when the fat hand and the thin hand are pointing at the 1 and the 2, it is 12 o'clock in the daytime. Because it would be dark and you wouldn't be able to see it. Now the thin hand starts to move away from the fat hand. It likes the fat hand. Yes, it likes the fat hand, but if it wants to tell the time, it has to go away from the fat hand. So it moves away from the fat hand, leaving the fat hand at the 1 and the 2, and then it comes over to the 1 here by itself. You see the 1 to the right of the 1 and the 2? Now, that 1 is 5. Because it is, it's 5. 2 is 10, 3 is 15, 4 is 20, 5 is 25, 6 is a half. Half! Because 12 is the whole, so 6 is the half. 7 is 25 to, or 35 past. So now what's actually happening is a thin hand is moving around the clock from the 1 to the 2, which is the 5 and the 10. And while he's doing that, the fat hand is moving slowly away from the 1 and the 2. Yes, because fat hands move slowly, that's right. Fat things waddle away, yes, that's it. And now by the time the fat hand has got around to the 1, which was the 5, when the minute hand was pointing at it, and the 1 has come back right up to the 1 and the 2, it is now what time? It is not 5 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock. Because when the thin hand points at it, it's minutes. The fat hand points at it, it's an hour. Now you be a good boy and learn how to read the clock. And I'll buy you a digital watch. Right, well, that'll kid him. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time I went. Thank you very much for listening. You've been very good, lovely audience to work to. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. Take care, have a good new year, and a continued good life. Don't just finish at the end of the year. Good night, thank you, may your God go with you.